Hey guys, hope you are all doing well today. I have finally gotten some time to get back into a couple new quick battles which I'm hoping to upload sometime soon. Sorry for the recent lack of content. I've been uploading around every 3 to 4 days. And unfortunately my college has really been racking up the assignments, and so I haven't found much time to get a lot of Warhammer content out. And even I haven't played in a tournament in at least like 2 months. For one is like all the free time I have over the weekends usually goes into hosting the Showdown of the Lords, and otherwise I just try to keep up as much practice as I can with my main factions, which are Lizardman and Norsca. So this is another one. I decided to bring the Norskins against the Tomb Kings. Lizardmen really have a very unfavorable matchup against the Tomb Kings, and so there's really no point in me trying to practice that. But Norsca and Tomb Kings can be a pretty fun and balanced matchup, so let's check out my army as Norsca. We have a front line of standard Marauders who won't last very long against the Tomb King front line, but the Tomb Kings don't have the greatest attacking stats, so their job is just going to be to try and stay in the fight for as long as possible. We also have our main infantry might coming in the form of the Marauder Berserkers. These guys are really going to have to carry this battle. They have to chew through a ton of undead infantry. We have two Fimir Warriors with great weapons for some anti-large, or in this case anti-construct play. Throg for a sort of... The reason I brought Throg is because he is a smaller target than Wulfric on a Mammoth. He's relatively fast, and he does come with his own anti-large, so you can definitely dual constructs with him. We also have a Fimir Balefiend of Fire. Fire is a very good lore against the Tomb Kings, and he is coming in with Burning Head and Fireball. We have, for our ranged core, we have 2 units of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes, currently trading fire with a couple of the Skeleton Horsemen archers, and we do have 2 Marauder Hunters with javelins. So you can see a ton of anti-construct pieces of this army, which may not necessarily fare the best against the current Tomb King army I'm facing, seeing as it is very, very infantry heavy. We only see a couple of constructs in the form of the Necropolis Knights, and I'm not really sure if the Tomb Prince or the Nehekar Horsemen are considered constructs, but they are considered large units, so this army will do relatively well against them. But I was definitely expecting a War Sphinx for me to go up against, but unfortunately we are not going to be seeing that, and we just have to hope that these Marauder Berserkers will be able to carry the day. But let's go over the rest of the Tomb King army. As I mentioned, 2 Skeleton Horsemen archers, Vanguard deployed. On the left flank we have the might of a couple Necropolis Knights, no halberds unfortunately. We have Cetra the Imperishable on horseback, a unit of Nehekar Horsemen, and we also have a Tomb Prince on horseback. So a mighty mobility core on the left flank, hoping to catch the Norskins by surprise, but you can see the Norskins have gone for a little bit of a flank overload on the same side that the mobility of the Tomb Kings is positioned, so it seems like Norsca will be able to deal with them relatively effectively. For the front line of the Tomb Kings, we have a mix of Skeleton Spearmen along with Tomb Guard, both relatively good infantry for the Tomb Kings, especially those Tomb Guard. They should be able to last for a pretty long time, considering all the infantry is unbreakable. We have the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion in the back protecting 1 Casket of the Souls, 1 more Tomb Guard protecting the Blessed Legion of Plocht. I completely butchered that name. I probably shouldn't even tried, but nonetheless, they will be here. Let's check out some of their stats actually. So they do have Armor Sundering, and what are these as well? So they do have some regeneration. Yeah, this is not an archer unit I have seen very often, but it does seem to be quite powerful, and with its Armor Sundering effects, it should be pretty powerful against even the Great Fimir Warriors, who are probably the most heavily armored monstrous infantry. Yeah, 110 armor is just out of this world. So let's get this battle started as the skirmishing core of the Norskins pushes back the Skeleton Horsemen archers. And the infantry does push up. Seems like the left flank is pushing forward slightly faster, and they will be reaching the lines of the Tomb Guard and Skeleton Spearmen. Those Marauder Berserkers should be able to beat down Tomb Guard, I think, but I think Marauders may have a little bit of a tough time against those Skeleton Spearmen, and this, Skeleton Spearman does actually have a silver chevron. And now you can see a overload on this one Skeleton Spearman unit. 2 units of Fimir Warriors with great weapons and Throg are going to be beating that unit down very, very quickly, and we do have a Burning Head going through a couple of the Blessed Legion, doing a bit of damage, but they were able to mostly dodge it. The Marauders do get caught up by a lot of the mobility of the Tomb Kings, the Necropolis Knights and the Nekar Horsemen, along with the Tomb Prince and along with Cetra. So they are really going to be a wrecking ball for the Tomb Kings, and Norskins have to watch out that their leadership and monstrous infantry corps doesn't get gooned out very, very quickly. Throg, I currently target him to try and take down these Necropolis Knights. Necropolis Knights are very good at cycle charging infantry, and considering the Tomb King's main force or main might does come in the form of infantry, we really want all the tools available to take them down. Unfortunately, the left flank of the Norskins has collapsed. I was relatively surprised by this, as the Marauder Berserkers really didn't seem to pull their weight, though I'm guessing some nice hits from the Casket of the Souls were responsible for that. And now you can see a mass rout as many of the Marauders and Marauder Berserkers are running from the battlefield, and now the Tomb Kings are going to be collapsing on a couple of these Marauder Hunter Javelins. Norsca is still going relatively strong in this death blob, and a Burning Head does come through the lines of some Skeleton Spearmen, but unfortunately will be catching some of the Marauder Spearmen as well. Cetra has taken quite a bit of damage, sitting at about half HP, and he does decide to disengage after the fact, but Throg is relentless in his pursuit. There is no way he's going to let Cetra the Imperishable get away from this fight. Some of the Norscan elements are rallying and are attempting to get a rear charge on maybe some of the Tomb Guard, though I think I do retarget them and try to get them to take out the Blessed Legion. And let's check out how Throg is doing. Throg has managed to catch Cetra the Imperishable, and looks like he will be able to take him down, as Cetra is considered a large unit on horseback. He also has a Fimir Warrior in support, so yeah, this great Cetra, actually no, yeah, so Fimir Warrior is in support. I thought that was Fimir Balefiend for a second. But Cetra is crumbling and will likely be falling with one more hit from Throg. A huge play from the Norskins in a fight that didn't necessarily seem to be going in their favor so much, but one thing I've learned from this game is that infantry cannot carry the battle, especially against single entities. You really need something more, and now we have another Burning Head going through, probably going to be doing some friendly damage to Marauders and Marauder Berserkers, but I would say it is worth it as it goes through tons and tons of the Tomb King infantry. The Casket of the Souls still going strong, knocking down a couple units of the Marauder Hunters, but they will be returning to the fight and probably doing quite a bit of damage in the future, since they do have majority of their ammunition left. And now Norskins are trying to regather their forces, get back a lot of the routing units, and potentially make a final stand around Throg. If we can get another good Burning Head and potentially get Throg in a blob around or make the Tomb Kings blob around Throg and get a good Burning Head from the Fimir Balefiend, things would be looking much, much better for the Norskins. The Skeleton Horseman Archers do get a rear charge into some of these Marauder Hunters, but seems like the Norskins will be able to pounce right back, as Throg and the Fimir Balefiend, along with some Fimir Warriors, are going to charge them and completely knock them out of the fight. There was a summon of some Ushapti, who are probably going to shut down these Marauder Berserkers, but they weren't able to hop on top of ideal targets such as Throg or potentially those Fimir Warriors. Actually, I do believe they caught some Fimir Warriors earlier. Yeah, I think these guys were caught by the Ushapti summon, but they will be disappearing as they reach the might of the remaining might of the Norscan forces, and this is exactly what I wanted the Tomb Kings to do. They're grouping all their infantry up around Throg, around these Marauder Spearmen, and now here comes the Great Burning Head from the Fimir Baleffiend, and look at the damage this is going to do. Completely decimates the lines of Tomb Guard and Skeleton Spearmen, and now Throg has the ability to pretty much cycle charge the rest of this blob to death, and potentially the Fimir Baleffiend could get another Burning Head off as well. That would seal the game. But at this point, things are looking heavily in favor of the Norscans. The Blessed Legion is about to be recharged by a couple of the Marauder Horsemen, and they will be crumbling into the ground, and with that, all they have to do is hop on top of this casket, and that will eliminate the last big threat of the Tomb Kings. Throg, of course, is going in for some cycle charging. Really, the biggest threat to him in this giant Tomb King infantry blob is going to be the King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion, but I think Throg is powerful enough and his regen is fast enough that he can avoid most of the poking damage that this group of infantry can do. Now, I'll probably speed it up as the ending, you can probably tell from the balance of power, is already set. Fimir Baleffiend also coming in for some cycle charging, and the Tomb King infantry will soon be crumbling to dust as army losses does set in. Let's check out how each of the units did on either army. So on the Norscan side of things, seems like, yeah, I was a little disappointed in these Marauder Berserkers, but honestly, this was not a very typical Tomb King army you'd see against the Norscans. I usually see quite a few more constructs, and which is why you can see I went so heavily with the anti-large aspects of my Norscan army. But I'd say the Marauder Berserkers handled it the best they could, though these Marauders, though, they definitely carried a lot. 89 kills is pretty darn impressive for a 400 gold infantry unit. We also see the Fimir Baleffiend, as burning heads were essential to the end of the game, just knocking out hordes of the Tomb King infantry. And these Fimir warriors, though they were meant for a more anti-construct role, they performed relatively well, knocking out a lot of those, let's see. Yeah, the Necropolis Knights, and then I believe they also knocked out a couple of the Nehekara Horsemen. And the rest of the army is pretty much centered around the skirmishing, the Marauder Hunters and the Marauder Horsemen. Their consistent fire over the course of the battle was also a big reason the Norscans were able to pull this out. And Throg, of course, Throg the Troll King is the ultimate goat of this matchup. He pretty much carried the Norscans to victory. And on the Tomb King side of things, I'd say definitely a lack of constructs kind of hurt them. They didn't have enough mass to pretty much stop Throg from cycle charging, stop those Fimir warriors with great weapons. I didn't really talk about them that much, but they were cycle charging for a lot of the matchup, and that cycle charging can really wear down pretty much every army it goes up against, unless they have dedicated tools to take them out. And I think another mistake potentially that the Tomb Kings made was throwing their Necropolis Knights away too early in the battle. They've kind of formed a death blob around Throg, but Throg is anti-large, and so those Necropolis Knights definitely took a ton of damage. They should have disengaged, done some cycle charging to the rest of the Norscan army, and then try to blob up around the Norscan hero core. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this battle. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys in the next one.